Hafa day and welcome to the Weekend Edition. I'm Adriana Cotero. Glad you could join us. Pacific Islanders suffer some of the highest COVID-19 infection rates in some American states and countries. Our Tomas Manglona files this report on the disproportionate impact on our communities.
We started using that infrastructure to deal with
Dr. Reynolds Samoa, who recovered from COVID-19, leads the National Pacific Islander COVID response team based in California. The numbers making national headlines are grim.
We found out that in Oregon, they went from the highest to having the second highest rates in Washington State. In 3 out of the 5 counties there, Pacific Islanders have the highest rates of COVID-19. In Arkansas, they have the highest rates. In Illinois, they have the highest rates. In Colorado, they have the highest rates.
The LA Times reported that in LA County, Pacific Islanders suffer the highest infection rate of any racial or ethnic group, more than 2,500 per 100,000 residents.
Pacific Islanders generally have higher rates of uninsured individuals. There's also a high number of essential workers that are in Pacific Islander communities. There's also a high number of us that live in multi-generational homes.
Pacific Islanders also have high rates of heart disease, obesity, diabetes, and asthma. He says there's no overnight remedy, and we can't grow tired of following guidelines.
As Pacific people, we love our families a lot, and we have a strong connection to our communities. So we oftentimes gather in our churches and we gather at homes to celebrate and to console each other. But during this time, those church gatherings and large functions, including funerals and birthday parties and graduation celebrations, if we're not careful, the risk of spreading COVID-19 in that situation is high.
Community organizers across the nation are taking action. Heidi Kenga is with the response team in Southern California.
Our goal is to ensure that we are the data is disaggregated so that we can figure out what our true numbers are when it comes to positive cases, but also to bring light to the health disparities in our community and ensure that we are providing resources from test sites to, PPE.
Kilani Silk, who works with Marshallese Youth, speaks to the alarming figures for Islanders in Arkansas, where there are more cases than in California.
The manpower required in order to properly assist the population is not there. They're currently working on it, and with our website available, we have been getting incoming in regards to interpretation and navigating through the different systems there in Arkansas as far as unemployment, healthcare, food assistance, and policy.
That access largely informed by data that simply isn't available. Richard Chang says fewer than 20 states out of 50 are disaggregating Islander data outside of labels like Asian American and Pacific Islander, or AAPI.
This data will help determine who gets the vaccine first, which communities are going to get testing sites. But even in addition to that, all the resources that will help with the impact of dealing with COVID, such as unemployment or where food banks should be located, all of that depends on the data. And I think as a first step, we should be filling out the census, but we also need to reach out to our representatives and let them know that our data needs to be shared with us.
Data tracker Carla Thomas says there's more behind the numbers.
Because this pandemic is putting those older generations and more chronically ill folks at risk, we're also at risk of losing that vast amount of cultural knowledge and information from our elders. And that's why we have to fight for our communities.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Tomas Manglona.
The rules and regulations for the Ayuda y Mangafa, or Help for Families program, should be submitted to the Guam legislature next week. According to the Department of Revenue and Taxation Director Daphne Shimizu, she and her team have been working on the stimulus program and ensuring it complies with the new law.
The rules and regs are required to be submitted to the legislature 30 business days after the bill became law. And I believe the bill became law on June 26th. So we have until I think Tuesday next week to submit the draft rules and regs to our legislature. So our team has been working on that. We actually have like a running draft internally.
The program provides $500 payments to eligible families with young adults, students, and disabled individuals that may have been overlooked in local and federal stimulus programs. Federal CARES Act funding is anticipated to be used for the payments. Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center was awarded a $780,000 COVID-19 emergency response for suicide prevention grant this month. According to the center, quote, it aims to provide community recovery supports to individuals 25 years of age or older who are at risk for suicide during the COVID-19 pandemic, including victims of domestic violence, unquote. Director Teresa Ariola.
The indicators nationwide shows that during any isolation or quarantine, there is a higher risk and higher number of suicide ideations and calls coming in through crisis hotlines. And as you know, Guam Behavioral Health has always had a crisis hotline, but has never been more active and more known than during the COVID time.
She says there were a spike in calls after the first COVID cases and deaths were announced. They noted that the 24-hour crisis hotline saw a dramatic increase of calls from an average of 25 per month to over 20 per day.
The calls that came through the crisis line in the early March into April was basically a show of great depression and anxiety and stress about the news, COVID, you know, the unexpected, depression, major anxiety.
The funds will be used for the expansion of the 24/7 crisis hotline, telehealth services, and the establishment of formal transition and discharge protocols with emergency departments. More than 800 children in the CNMI are at risk of getting a vaccine-preventable disease. Our Tomas Manglotnia speaks with officials of the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation on immunization outreach in the region.
There were about 800 plus kids who were identified as being enrolled in the public school system who were needing to get some updated vaccinations.
Interim Immunization Program Manager Heather Pangilinan says that prompted vaccination outreach at 14 campuses through the next month.
Children are also required to have updated immunizations in order to get health certificates. And these health certificates are required for school enrollment.
She says the program is key to prevent any spread of infections for the NMI's nearly 12,000 students.
Nationally, there have been really drops in vaccination rates, largely due because of the pandemic. We're seeing a lot of hesitancy among families in accessing preventative care, which include vaccines, due to fear of exposure to the virus. As a mother of three myself, I can definitely relate to a lot of parents and how they feel in regards to wanting to keep my kids home to avoid any risk of infection.
But she says there's an increase in well child visits in recent weeks. The new normal allowed them to make health certificates available online for the first time.
Those are definitely service mechanisms and strategies that we will, consider utilizing as needed as we continue providing services.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Tomas Manglotnia.
Guam Homeland Security and the Office of Civil Defense are gearing up for Earthquake Preparedness Week. They plan to host web-based training and special media campaigns due to the pandemic. EPW is slated for August 2nd to the 8th, meant to commemorate the magnitude 7.8 earthquake that struck Guam in August 1993. PIO, Jenna Bloss.
We're still reminding the community that although we're very, COVID-centric, there's a lot of information about how to prepare for this pandemic. It's equally as important to remember that we can still face natural disasters. So not only typhoon preparedness, but earthquakes. We just recently had one, I believe it was yesterday. So we can anticipate seeing a lot of these different disasters happening even during these pandemic times.
They're also encouraging participation in the upcoming Great Guam Shakeout on October 15th at 10:15 a.m. And stay tuned. Next on the Weekend Edition, we have Trend Spotting and Still to Come Sports with Dave Delgado.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist. Over 20 years of experience.
We are open to serve you at Cars Plus Guam. Need a quick service for your vehicle? Visit our express lane at Cars Plus. Done fast, done right. No appointment needed. Our service team is dedicated to helping you get your vehicle in and out of the shop and back on the road quickly and securely. Simply drop off your vehicle at our express lane driveway, and one of our service advisors will take care of it. Need a ride? Not to worry. We have a shuttle vehicle ready to drop you back home and pick you up when your vehicle is ready. Open Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Visit us today. We are open to serve you.
While we've all been through a lot over the years,
typhoons, earthquakes, and now COVID-19,
we've been able to get through these together.
For more than 80 years, Travelers Insurance has been protecting your homes, your businesses,
and the health of your family.
We are here today and we'll be here tomorrow.
There are better days ahead. Tomorrow's a new day filled with hope and choices.
The possibilities of what we can achieve together are limitless.
Let's continue to work together to ensure a brighter tomorrow for all of us.
From the brutal attack of a neighborhood dog to the call to stop construction on military grounds after more historical artifacts were found, these are a few of the stories that got you talking this week. Half a day, I'm Adriana Cotero, and this is Trendspotting. The death of the, quote, friendliest dog didn't come to the public's attention until about a week after the brutal incident. On July 21st, Walter, a Jigo Booney dog, was found by neighborhood kids with a deep gash to his neck. The injury was too severe that Walter had to be put down. Now neighbors and Guam animals in need are calling for justice in the matter. GAIN President Cyrus Lur believes Walter's injury was no accident or made out of self-defense. GAIN described the 10-inch laceration across Walter's neck as a near beheading that was likely made with a large hunting knife. GAIN was told the suspect who attacked Walter was upset his chickens had been attacked days before. Lur said the suspect allegedly expressed a desire to take care of the problem himself and brandished a knife, talking about the dogs. The man suspected of hurting Walter is a sailor in the Joint Region Marianas says it's aware of the incident. According to the Guam Police Department, the investigation into Walter's attack is ongoing. And here's what you had to say. Our top fan, Paul Davis, says, weird how it takes an act of cruelty for you guys to care about the stray dogs here. Otherwise, you all just go about never giving them any thought whatsoever. Carmen says, OMG, that was so cruel and inhumane. That's like hurting someone else's kid. I hope you get what you deserve, which is nothing good. AJ Claro says, if this is a service member, then the military should make sure they are charged to the fullest extent of the law. And Kathy Santos says, man, I don't think that poor dog has to be treated this way. Another viewer writes, this is heartbreaking. This is beyond cruel. Another call to halt the construction of a military firing range has been made, and this time it's by Guam's state historic officer. Shippo Patrick Lujan this week is basing his call on, quote, new and substantial archaeological findings, unquote, at 4 live fire training range sites at Northwest Field. In a letter to Admiral John Manoni, Lujan wrote that unlike the previous 4 fire range sites, the site designated for the Milcon multipurpose machine gun has yet to be graded and cleared of forest and vegetation. Lujan has invoked a stipulation in Guam's agreement with the Department of Defense, calling for more surveys to be completed before they start work. The SHPO also proposes establishing a site-specific pre-construction archaeological investigation plan to include features, isolated objects, and other relevant archaeological data. The call comes a week after Democrat Senator Therese Terlahi called for island leaders to demand a halt of more clearings of DoD lands and more ancient burials were found. Here's some of your thoughts. Rick says, about time he spoke up. Emma says, bets there are way more sites than that. And Charles Duenas writes, they need to just stop construction altogether. That area is a cultural burial ground for our ancestors. I'm sure they will probably have artifacts all over the place. They can build at another site, preserve and protect our history. This week during The Link with Sabrina and Chris, Vice Speaker Talina Nelson made a passionate plea to stop the cycle of opioid abuse. Wiping her tears away, Nelson said she's seen and heard how people have access to dangerous opioids like fentanyl. Nelson said, quote, "It's a national impact. We have been trying to get some assistance with the Allied Health Board to pass legislation to limit the amount of prescriptions for opioids and also education for individuals who are prescribed opioid and also requiring prescribers, doctors to go into the system and see the history of the patient to ensure that they are not doctor shopping," unquote. Nelson called for prioritizing funds to support organizations and agencies to combat the crisis. And there's some great news from a Guam girl in Hollywood. Guam raised Rain Valdez, an actress, filmmaker, writer, and producer, was nominated for an Emmy. And it's not just for any category. Valdez was nominated for Outstanding Actress in a Short-Form Drama for her portrayal as Belle Jonas in the YouTube series Razor Tongue, which she also wrote and produced. It also was an official selection of the 2019 Guam International Film Festival. In the web series, Valdez's character identifies that she's from Guam right from the get-go. Congratulations to Rain, and we encourage you all to go check out her YouTube series, Razor Tongue, that's on our Facebook page and also on YouTube. That's your Trendspotting Report. I'm Adriana Catero. Adios.
King's welcomes you back with our King's Time value menus, full of great deals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We hope to see your family soon at King's.
For the Love of Burgers is back with 6 of our most popular burgers, each for just $9.99 for a limited time at Ruby Tuesday Guam.
Take the party home with our new Get It To Go menu. Combo specials and kids meals, pizza, wings, and more. Now available for carryout at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam.
Join KUAM News every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. on TV8 and streaming live on the KUAM News Facebook page for In Full Zoom, a half-hour program zooming in on efforts to rebuild Guam's economy. Nestor Lecanto will interview a panel of guests from the business sector via Zoom to discuss their ideas and suggestions on how the island can rebound from the devastating blow from COVID-19. From struggles to strategies to get Guam back on the road to economic recovery. Check out In Full Zoom Wednesdays on KUAM Digital and KUAM TV8 at 6:30 p.m. In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc. Check KUAM.com or our mobile news app for additional showtimes.
Buenas and half a day from the southwest border. I'm Sergeant Bomba Cruz. I would like to say hi to my wife, my fur babies, my family and friends back home. I love and miss you guys so much. Happy Liberation, Guam. Viva!
Buenas and half a day. My name is Specialist Rico Far. I just want to say Happy Liberation, Guam. And stay safe during this pandemic and look out for each other. To my friends and families, I miss you and I love you all. See you all soon. Peace out.